Hi, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the first of 3 webinars by IrisID. Today, we're going to focus on access control, biometrics, and specifically iris recognition. We'll be hearing from Mohammed Murad. He's the Vice President for IrisID. He's going to talk about why biometrics in access control, why iris recognition, and go through some case studies so you can see how the technology is being used in the real world today. And the way we're going to handle this is, after each section of the presentation, we'll answer questions from participants. And with that out of the way, I will hand it over to Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Cindy. So we will be discussing how biometrics is implemented into access control. But before we start, we want to answer a question: why biometrics, the use of biometrics? Biometric is basically characteristics of a human body. So biometrics is who you are. Unlike the tokens and cards that can be stolen or taken away from you or misrepresent the identity of the individual, biometrics cannot be compromised. So that's why many organizations and governments are starting to look at biometrics to use another layer of security with the biometrics on top of those documents. So if you recall last year, FBI Cyber Division urged the organization to consider an additional complex form factor of multi-factor authentication for the use and the use of biometrics to identify individuals, to have access to the facilities or information that they provide. So now let's talk about where it's being used. So biometric is used in multiple applications. So anything to do with identification, that could be large-scale national ID programs, civil programs, public safety and security programs such as prisons and jails and police stations, etc., access control, and time and attendance. So today, the purpose of the seminar is to focus on access control for the physical infrastructure in either government, corporate buildings, institutions, banks, airports, etc. So now, before we get into those applications, let's talk about why biometric for access control. So the biometrics, basically, as I described before, is a characteristics of human body, and it is not what you carry that can be lost and compromised or duplicated. This is something that belongs to you. So when you are standing in front of that turnstile or a biometric device, you are the organization is absolutely sure the person who's represented is the person who's going to have access to. So the chances of biometrics being stolen or being compromised, it's minimal or none whatsoever. So by layering a form of biometric on top of an existing token, will definitely increase the security of your physical infrastructure. Okay. Now, the other question on biometrics many times people ask is, what is the difference between verification or identification? So let's handle the identification or verification. Identification is a modality where I'm capturing a live biometric and I am matching against the gallery of biometrics that have been stored into a database. It's very simple. Look, you use the biometrics. The live is captured, it's sent into the gallery, it matches, a return result is returned back, either going to an access control panel or some other device to grant the individual an access. On the other hand, the verification basically confirms the identity of the person who is representing that token. So let's talk about that as an example. So if I have a smart card, my biometric is stored on the smart card chip. I present the smart card, contact or contactless. The biometric template that's stored on the on that card is taken off. The live biometric is captured by the device. Then those two are matched. If the match happens, then the access is granted. So the difference is, one is against a database, a gallery size. One is one-to-one verification that is happening against the token that is applied to. So it's a very simple process, but that question gets asked very frequently. So now let's talk about the type of biometrics out there. So there are physiological biometrics such as iris, finger, face, and DNA and vein, which is belonging characteristics of. And there are some of behavior biometrics. So there are lots of them out there. But today we want to focus the most used biometrics like finger, face, or iris. But our company focus in those spaces is iris recognition. We're going to talk about technologically what iris offers compared to other biometrics available.
Oh, why don't we take one question right here, Mohammed?
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
We have one. I think it's a really timely one, a great one, and it's about biometrics in general, but especially in the light of COVID-19 epidemic. The question is, the virus is changing the way we look at many things, including security. What impact do you believe it will have on biometrics?
Well, I think biometric usage is already on the increase, and with this COVID-19 situation, you will see people leaning more towards non-contact, frictionless biometrics. So the biometrics that are going to be in focus are going to be such as iris or face recognition, and then organizations need to decide which fits best in their applications. But definitely biometric will continue the increase of usage. So now let's talk about technology. What is iris recognition? How does it work? Why is it being used in so many different places? So there is a confusion in the market, and then whenever I see in the news iris recognition, lots of times I hear people talking about retina. When I read, I know what they mean really, but what they really mean is iris recognition, not retina recognition. So let's go back to our 6th grade biology class where we learned what is an eye and what are the components of the eye. So on the right hand side of the slide, you see I have a red word called retina. Retina is in the back of your eye. That means if I do retina recognition, I need to shine a light in and very close to the eye to be able to see the pattern of the retina. Well, there was a technology called retina scanning a long time ago. It is not in use anymore. Only time somebody looks at my retina when I go to my doctor to get my eyes examined, they go and shine a light so they see the pattern. So on the other hand, for iris, as you see in the blue color ring around this eye, it's that color ring around the pupil that is actually the iris. That is the muscle that is carrying all the little ridges and valleys and peaks that makes it so unique. So both of your eyes are different. So for chances for somebody having similar eye is very, very rare or impossible. The numbers mathematically go 10 to the raised power 676. So that's a mathematical algorithm, but we haven't found anybody having the two same eyes. So I hope I clarified the retina versus iris discussion. So now let's talk about why iris recognition is so unique. So one, it's a one-time enrollment. We can enroll an individual at the age of 1 year, which is 12 months, and that enrollment, and there will be no change. At this point, there is no documented change in the iris pattern that will impact the identity of the individual. It's very accurate. It's very simple and easy to use. You can look at the camera from anywhere from 12 inches away up to a meter away, take a picture, and you're identified in a matter of a second. Very fast. We will be able to talk about in some of the cases where we're talking volumes of people moving through, and then non-invasive. So you're not touching, nothing is crowding the individual. In other terms, we call it frictionless. It's just happening very smoothly, simply just staring and glaring at the camera for a second, and you're identified. And it's highly scalable, so you can start an implementation from a small database, and it can grow up to be a very large database. Now, most importantly, compared to other solutions, countermeasures are one of the key that Iris ID looks at it from building our technology and solutions. That means I cannot present a photo, a picture, any kind of a contact lens, pattern contact lens to be able to spoof. So we have built-in spoof mechanism into the solution to be able to avoid any presentation attack or replay attacks, as they call it in the scientific terms. So now let's talk about why would be considered the best of class biometric. One, when you're advising the clients or your clients or whoever's listening and they're thinking about a biometric, one of the most important features of the biometric you need to look at is the outlier population. That means the people you cannot enroll into a system. So iris recognition inherently has a very, very low outlier population. Every biometric has an outlier population. You have to weigh in the topic of, hey, how high is the outlier population, that people that I cannot enroll, versus a low that I will be able to live with. In most environment, when we're talking about physical infrastructure, the outlier population is going to be almost zero, because most people who are coming to work will have eyes and they will be able to enroll. The other piece with iris recognition, the template is very small. I will be able to store on a card, so we can offer the verification with iris with a token or a smart card or a prox card, and then you can also offer in one-to-many. As I mentioned earlier, outlier population, but the other factor is the false accept ratios and false reject ratios. We call in iris recognition a term called equal error rate. That means basically we do not give you an access if you are misidentified. If you are misidentified, it happened to be in the database, but you were misidentified, we will basically reject you and encourage the user to look back and look at the camera again, so we can reassess the identification. Now, on the right hand side of the graph, on the slide, you see a pattern. What we're trying to show you here, what we are interested in calculating is the pattern which is around the pupil, and what it shows here is the segmented image, and I'll give you a little bit more detail in the next slide. On the table on the left hand side of the slide is telling you a Hamming distance, we call it in the iris recognition term, and that is the quality of image. The better the quality, you can be able to very comfortably and identify an individual in very large databases, like means billions or trillions. As you can see, where the Hamming distance is 0.26 or lower, we can go in 10 raised to the power 13. So it's more scientific, and there are lots of papers and other things available on our website that you can go out and study if you have an interest in learning about that. So now, where iris recognition works, where other biometrics may have a challenge. So as these pictures are telling you that with the mask, well, now we're in an environment with the COVID, everybody's wearing a mask. So some biometrics will have a challenge. In some cultures, women wear a veil. Well, eyes are always exposed, so you'll be able to identify them. On the other biometrics like fingerprint, if people work with their hands are dirty. Lots of times there are challenges with those devices. But uniquely enough, iris recognition does not have those challenges. We can work with these days with personal protective equipment, with goggles, hazmat suits, with medical face shields, etc. So it has very strong applications in many vertical markets. Okay, so that's where the real strength of iris recognition comes in. So now let's talk about the performance data. Well, if you look at a fingerprint, you're looking at minutia. There are so much. In hand readers, you have so many points. Iris recognition, about 240 data points in a full open eye when taking a picture from a very good camera. Then in the bottom, as you can see, this is the generation of what happens when you're capturing the picture. So what you and I look from our naked eye, it's a human iris, which is color and everything is gold. What camera is looking is an infrared image, a grayscale, which gives us a lot more depth in looking at the characteristics of the eyes. And the third picture you see is the segmented, where everything else is thrown out. Only thing that we're focusing is that color ring around that pupil, which happened to be in this picture, a grayscale. Then we convert that into a template that can be represented in ones and zeros, can be represented into a barcode, 2D barcode, etc. So on the top of the chart, you see two eyes. One is grayscale, large open, one is about 40% closed. That basically an example where when I enroll an individual, we ask them to have their eyes fully open. So when they come for verification, they can have a relaxed eye and we still be confidently able to authenticate them to grant access with that much data. So it's like the amount of data available in the eyes is quite a bit. So you will be able to identify that even their eye is 40% closed.
Mohammed, before we move on, we have another question. I think you touched on this. Maybe you could go into a little bit more depth, but we hear a lot about spoofing, which you mentioned in biometrics. When it comes to the iris, how can we be sure that putting up a photo or something else representing an eye can't be used to fool the system?
Well, we always try to stay ahead of the bad guys. So we constantly enhance and upgrade our countermeasure features. So the idea behind that is that we want to prevent any presentation attacks, and they could be malicious, that somebody's holding a picture or photo or mannequin or prosthetic eyes, or wearing a pattern contact lenses. So our technology has this ability that we can determine this is not a natural object that is in front of the device, like an eye, a normal eyeball. So we will not allow that to be enrolled or to be image captured for identification. So we do apply a lot of resources to make sure this is anti-spoofing. Now let's talk about where the technology is used, which I'm sure most of you guys are interested to learn. How can it be applied into different circumstances? So today, we took some of our existing clients and we can show you it's being used in data center security, airport access, and building control systems. Very consumer-oriented health club, and one of the high-tech physics laboratory. It's a pretty cool place. We'll cover some of those. So the first one that we want to talk about is what everybody knows. It's Google. We have it on our phone. We have it on our desktop. Google is one of RSID, a user of RSID technology since 2009. We are deployed in almost every single data center across the globe to protect access into those data centers by looking into the camera. Our system is integrated in some of the major access control providers, so that Google employees they carry the template on the card. So when they go into data center, they present the card onto the camera, look into the camera. Camera takes a picture, provides that one-to-one verification as we discussed earlier, and then grant them access. So it's a very interesting implementation. And you know what? This is where we started. When we started the business in 2003 and 2004 time, those are the places where people say, this is where we want to put the highest level of security is in the data center. So they started in the back office of the data center. Now the technology is slowly moving into the front office and beyond. So the other application for the data center security is another Fortune 500 company is Apple. They use our technology, globally in some of their data centers. They have been our customers around the same time frame, 2009 or so. And same thing. It's integrated with their existing access control system. I don't want to discuss more any further than that for security reason. Now let's talk about an airport. So CATSA, Canadian Air Transport Security Authority or agency, they have about 40 some airports. Most of the airports have our technology implemented for access control for the employees. They have approximately CATSA has about 880,000 to 200,000 employees all throughout the country. Their headquarters for CATSA headquarters based in Ottawa. They are that's the authority that selects the technology to be used for access control at the airport. So the system works very simply. Individual is carrying the template on the card. They present the card onto the camera. We read the template, capture the biometric of the eyes, convert that into a template, match the two templates, and grant them access. Now, this system is integrated with multiple access control. So the choice of access control is depending on the airport, who is running it, who is providing the support. So in this entire the whole country, we are integrated with Linnell in some locations, Honeywell in some locations, Secure in some locations, and other access control. So we in some of these applications we have a direct integration, so you can manage the user credentials right into the product of Honeywell or Linnell or Secure. In some instances, our customers are using the WeGain output from the camera. So there is a lot of flexibility with integration with the product line. So now let's talk about something very fun, not the building security only. It's the health clubs. Well, we all go to the health clubs, and then we always either have to carry a token or something. So there are two health clubs that I'm giving an example. There are more around the world using the technologies. World Class in Iceland, and then Equinox Health Club in the United States. So World Class, they have been our customers for about 20 years now. And then the movie that you saw earlier, that is from one of the World Class site in Reykjavik. The idea they came up with is that we don't want to issue our patrons the card. We want them to give them something non-contact. Back 20 years ago, that gentleman decided to do that with our product line called IrisAccess 2200. And now they are in multiple locations. They have approximately 53,000 people enrolled into the system. It's all one-to-many. It's very nicely integrated with their ERP system. So if the person doesn't pay that month, they automatically system takes their access rights away. So if they come to the camera and say, I want an access to the facility, the camera says a big red X. They have to walk to the administrator, pay their dues, and automatically the rights are given to them, so they can go and enjoy the facilities. Then the other piece is they wanted to save money on in reducing the staff rather than having the staff at the gate. They wanted to have inside to provide more services to their customers. So some of their health clubs are open 24/7, 365 days, unmanned. So basically, if I'm a member, I live nearby one of their health clubs. It is unmanned. It's 24-hour open. I just walk up to the camera. I have access to the facility. I do my thing and get out. So they require no member ID cards, no tokens, no PIN number. They're coming in. They can come in shorts and t-shirt. They don't need to have anything with them and have access. Similarly, Equinox have a similar application that they provide their customers access to those VIP clubs from New York all the way to LA. They have about 15 clubs across the United States using our technology. So it's a pretty neat, fun sort of an application for consumer focusing. Now let's talk about a high-tech organization called CERN based in Europe. CERN is a atomic research, and they're trying to look for the God particle, as per se, and they have invested tremendous amount of resources into this project for many years now. They have been using our technology to protect those that infrastructure since 2007. So what they are is basically CERN has these tunnels under 100 meters under the ground, and to get to those tunnels, they have to go through a shaft, and it's a whole process. And their system manages how long this individual, this physicist has been inside the tunnel. So they have a limit of time because of radiation that they can be inside their facilities. So they use our technology to make sure that the right person has access to it, and then they combine our technology with other systems to make sure that their time is calculated. They only are supposed to be working 10 hours a week or 10 hours a month into those tunnels for health reasons, so they will not have access to that. If you go inside, it looks like you are in Starship Enterprise. So it's a very cool place, very high tech. The access control system works flawlessly. Most of them wear protective gear such as glasses, and sometimes they wear face shields, etc. And helmets, and they are very happy with the performance of the iris recognition system. Now let's move on to from Europe to Africa. So one of the largest conglomerate based in Nigeria called Dangote, we are a supplier of our technology to their group called Dangote Cement. They have multiple facilities in multiple countries using our technology. It's all connected back into Lagos, their headquarters. Our system, their IT team was able to build a interface with SAP, so they are able to take their HR data from SAP into our system, their employee data, and then all the transactional data from our system, they're able to go and transport it over to the SAP system, so they can calculate the payroll of those people. So it's a very interesting implementation. This is where the two system or two methodologies marry, where we have access control, a security system, and then they're using that access control data for workforce management. So they know who came in and when the clock starts to pay them. Then most recently, they have implemented a new system. It's called the driver tracking system. Basically, all their truck drivers, cement depot drivers who move the cement from the factory to their warehouses and shipping depots, they use our technology to enroll them. So they go through a safety and security procedures during that training period. Once that's done, when they pick up the cement load from the factory, they're identified to make sure the right person is picking up the load. And when they deliver the load to the depot, they look into our ICAM 100 to be able to identify them, and then they enter in the facility to put the load. So basically, by using this method, Dangote have been able to make sure that the right people who are trained with the safety within the plant, outside the plant, are able to pick up and deliver the system. Then, well, we have not just these customers, we have lots of customers. This is a partial list. Some of our customers in banking sector like Citi, in IT sector like Oracle. And then, we provide our technology into hospitals and oil and gas sector, in construction, for time and attendance, and we already discussed health clubs, etc. Then this is all talking about the commercial side of things. We also provide our technology into the government space. So some of you may have heard and seen the CLEAR program in multiple airports in the United States. They use our technology to identify people with iris. We have many airports around the world. We provide our technology to many government and defense organizations around the world. We have many civil ID and national ID programs around the world. So technology has a fit in multiple areas of identity solutions.
Time for another question. We have a question about, it's really two parts, from someone who's worried about lines forming during a shift change or people coming in and out. So they asked, does your iris system work as quickly as other biometrics or traditional time and attendance systems? And does iris recognition offer any other time and attendance benefits?
Well, very good question, and we do get asked very frequently when people are looking to apply our solution for time and attendance. So basically, at the time of starting a shift or ending a shift, that is the most critical time where people are in line to get in. What we have seen is we have customers who have 4,000 people going into a plant in a developing country. With proper education, within a week, they can process those 4,000 people on 10 to 12 turnstile in less than 20 minutes. So that's couple of seconds a person that they're using. So normally there are no lines. We have construction sites where they need to process people very fast during the time. So the technology has speed, the technology has accuracy. What was the other question?
Are there any other benefits, time and attendance benefits to iris recognition?
Well, the biggest benefit that our customers are looking for is accuracy. So we provide that where other biometrics may have a challenge in those particular spaces in time and attendance, we provide that non-contact, we provide the speed, and we provide, most important is the accuracy. So the biggest benefit that our customers get is the accuracy piece.
Okay.
So before we conclude, I wanted to touch base. We make products. We are a full identity solution systems company where we have products for mobility, we have products for field identification, we have products for kiosk. But today, let's just focus on the ICAM 7 series. And the idea is we wanted to show you what the product can do and what are the features of the product. So let's talk about that. So the ICAM 7 series comes in two models, one with LCD, one without LCD, and both of the models have the option of having an integrated card or not. So in the card, while we're talking about the card, we support MyFair, DeskFire, EV1, EV2, HID I-Class, and pretty soon we will be supporting CEOS and others. The device has a high quality 5-megapixel face camera. So while you're enrolling a person with the eyes, you'll be able to take their face picture so you can put that on an ID card or put it in the database for future references. The device also the LCD device has an integrated hard key button. So if you wanted to use it for time and attendance, you can program that for punch in, punch out, or other features. We can also present at the time of the identity of the individual, you'll be able to give them their name, the function they did, and the time they did the punch. There is a speaker, there is an audio and video cues for them to hear, so you can have a real interactive application for those. Some of our customers are using this technology, putting behind a bulletproof glass or in a case. So for that, in those environments, we have a external speaker slot, so you'll be able to extend the voice out of those enclosures. And by the way, the camera works behind the glass. And if somebody's interested in learning about that, they can give us a call and we'll give them what type of applications that can be used for. So, and the usage, I cannot do a demo, but you saw the movie, that how easy it is. So basically we have a mirror. You look into the mirror, there's a hologram. When you're in that range of focus, it turns green and you identify. The whole process takes about a second and a half between you looking in, capture, and identification. And it doesn't matter what the gallery size is if you're talking about one-to-many. Also, the camera has the ability to track your face. So as you're walking up to the device, it already knows where your eyes are. So it will line the camera up at your eyes and you'll be able to identify. So to answer the earlier question about speed, all these implementation of technology that we have done in the device allows us to have that speed. So with that.
All right. Yeah, I think that brings us to the end. Thank you. And but I think we have a couple minutes here for some more questions, and we have a few more come in. The first one is someone wants to know, our introduction to iris technology has been in movies and futuristic science fiction, and somebody is asking, are people really comfortable using iris, or do they see it as being too futuristic?
Absolutely not futuristic. It is just like you take a photo with your phone or your camera. You are basically taking a picture of your eyes very simply, and there is nothing magical or sci-fi about it. You're looking at a camera, looking at your eye in the mirror. Within a second, a picture is taken and you're identified.
Great.
Within a second.
So we've moved into the future. That's what it is.
We are. We are.
And another question that's come up more than once, and I think it's a good one. Can iris be read at greater distances or while a person is moving?
Actually not. We consider our technology, and we make every effort to do that, is an opt-in technology. That means you have opt-in to participate in the process of enrolling and identifying yourself. So we do not want to be in a situation where you're just moving in and we captured your eyes. And so you have to participate. You know what's happening. You are in front of a camera. It is cueing you. Please look into the mirror. You look into the mirror and you identify. So at this moment, there are companies and organizations that talk about iris on the move, but we as a company believe that the iris recognition technology should be considered, or all biometrics should be considered, as opt-in.
Okay. And the last one, I think, is the last question that we have, I think, is a really good one. We've had a lot of people talk about cost, and they're asking, how do your systems compare in cost to other biometric technologies?
Well, we are pretty much in line with other biometric technologies, if for an enterprise use or for other uses where you can perform the throughput. So when we're looking at a cost factor, most customers they are looking at what would be the total ROI of the system. So with our technology, the administrative cost is much less. That means you don't need to have a lot of re-enrollments, you don't need to have replacement, you don't need to have cleaning and that sort of stuff with the technology. So it is very much in line with the current need. The cost is very much in line with the current need of products in biometrics space.
Okay. Well, I think that takes us to the end. That's our presentation for today, and we want to thank everyone who's participated in the webinar. If you want additional information, you can see, there's several ways you can do that up on the screen right now. You can contact IrisID at the website, which is irisid.com. That's IrisID.com, or you can call us at 1-609-819-4747, option 2. And I'll make sure you follow us. We follow us, you'll get the latest news if you follow us on social media, and you can see up there we have a Twitter and LinkedIn site. So I think it was a great presentation, and thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Look forward to you next time. Bye-bye.